Mercedes is in big trouble. That much is obvious. The Brackley team has struggled to understand the new ground effect regulations, and if that wasn't enough, their star driver Lewis Hamilton's continued scathing remarks haven't helped. However, the information revealed following the Australian Grand Prix may spell an even bigger disaster for the team's Formula One ambitions, as the engineers and designers are unsure how to respond to Hamilton's latest demand. So without further ado, let's dive into Lewis Hamilton's latest criticism, why everyone at Mercedes is so confused, and how this could play out when its first upgrades are put on the W14. Oh, and make sure you watch to the end to get the details of an exclusive interview about Hamilton's key improvements over the years and how he saved teammate George Russell's reputation. Despite pre-season predictions that Mercedes W14 would eliminate last year's weaknesses, the team has once again been unable to challenge Red Bull for race wins, while Aston Martin has nipped ahead as the second fastest car on the grid. Mercedes boss Toto Wolff has admitted that the team got it wrong with their current car concept, with the Austrian promising significant changes. Hamilton would like his seating position to be one of those changes. In an interview with the Australian media, the Briton revealed that Mercedes sit closer to the front wheels than all the other drivers. Our cockpit is too close to the front. When you're driving, you feel like you're sitting on the front wheels, which is one of the worst feelings to feel when you're driving a car. What the Briton didn't say, though, was whether this was a new issue with his W14, or if it had been present since last season. Some pundits have questioned whether this was one of the issues Hamilton raised with Mercedes earlier this year, when he complained to the BBC's Checkered Flag podcast that he hadn't been heard. Even more intriguing, when Mercedes technical director Mike Elliott was asked about the cockpit's forward placement in comparison to the competition during pre-season testing, the Brit denied all of the rumours. As Ted Kravitz put it, "I'm not sure, because at the beginning of testing we had a special guest, Mike Elliott. I had all these ideas about the Mercedes and I put them to Mike and he said no. One of them was, I said you move the cockpit forward because there's something online. I can't remember what it was. So I said, have you moved the cockpit forward? He said no. So I'm all a bit confused. So, has the cockpit position shifted? If not, what is Hamilton complaining about? What is going on? Well, let's take a look. Mercedes has openly admitted that its 2023 W14 has fallen short of expectations, prompting a shift in its development strategy to recoup some of the performance that it had expected to gain on its competitors this season. However, it has become clear that the car also has some fundamental design flaws that will require a more significant overhaul as the team prepares its next challenger. One of these issues appears to be the cockpit position. The team has clearly made changes to counteract the negative effects of porpoising and bouncing on its drivers last season. However, the cockpit position hasn't actually changed, as it would have necessitated even more changes to the car's layout. This is because the location of the cockpit has ramifications throughout the car, affecting weight distribution, suspension, and aerodynamics in various ways. This would have also resulted in changes to the side pod design and a complete abandonment of Mercedes' current concept. So, if the cockpit position hasn't shifted forward over the winter, what is Hamilton talking about? Well, while Mercedes hasn't made any new changes for 2023, Red Bull has, with a new front suspension arrangement that moves the front axle forward from the RB18. Red Bull already had a more rearward cockpit position in 2022, and it not only places its drivers further from the front axle, but it has also created more space beneath the driver, allowing it to house some of the electronics and other ancillaries normally housed within the confines of the side pods beneath the chassis instead. This also gives Red Bull more design options for the side pod, allowing it to increase the size of its undercut in comparison to some of its competitors. So it appears Hamilton is correct in his assessment that the cockpit of the W14 is much further forward than the competition, even if his statements are a little confusing given that he was silent on the subject last season. With that in mind, what can Mercedes do? Mercedes boss Toto Wolff has been open about the team's plans for the early stages of the season, with visible changes expected from the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Wolff also responded directly to Hamilton's criticism, telling the media, "We are looking at the big concept of the driver position, which is obviously one of the most important things, not only in terms of weight distribution, aerodynamics, etc., but also is where the driver has the best feeling in the car, which is something where Lewis is very vocal. And when a 7-time world champion has an opinion, it's important to listen to it. So they are looking into it. No surprises there. Given the systemic implications of changing the driver's seating position, we'll have to wait and see if this issue can be addressed this season. But while we wait, let's take a look at some other interesting statements Hamilton has come out with over the past few days, including an interview in which he revealed the key improvements he's made throughout his career. Now entering the twilight years of his F1 career after making his debut in the sport in 2007, Hamilton has gone on to become one of the sport's all-time greats, having won 7 world championships to tie Michael Schumacher's record, as well as an unrivaled 103 Grand Prix victories. Hamilton has earned the admiration of fans, media, and rivals for his combination of speed, maturity, and consistency since making his first Grand Prix start as a McLaren driver at the 2007 Australian Grand Prix. But are there any areas where he believes he has improved in his 16 years in Formula One? The question was posed to Hamilton during a recent interview with Australia's Fox Sports, and the British driver stated that he feels the majority of his improvement actually comes from his work outside of the cockpit. A lot of it's been done in the background, in the processes in the background, how I engage with the engineers, how I am able to extract what I need from all the different sections, different departments, Hamilton said when asked to compare the Lewis Hamilton of 2023 to the Lewis Hamilton of 2007. He explained that he struggled a lot with dealing with setbacks, which he says he handles much better now. I think the bouncing back scenario, particularly when I was younger and had a bad race, you couldn't talk to me for days. I was in such a dark place after. However, Hamilton's experience and prestige have made a significant difference in how he races. While the 22-year-old Hamilton was unable to position himself with authority with the McLaren engineers in 2007, the intervening 16 years of huge success means that when he has something to say, he can now get the full attention of his Mercedes engineers. I was at the mercy of the engineers around me. I couldn't dictate a huge amount. I couldn't say, hey guys, this is a direction that we need to go. I can do that now. I know what I need in the car in order to do what I need to do, in order to be able to extract my performance and the performance of the car. So there are a lot of areas. And then there's a calmness in the mind that I have now that I didn't have then. It comes with experience. As a highly competitive and respected figure, he has also had a large influence on any teammate he ends up with, which has harmed some drivers but has also been instrumental in gaining a good reputation for others, as it was with George Russell. In fact, the young Briton recently revealed that Lewis Hamilton may have inadvertently saved him. Russell joined Mercedes last season as Hamilton's new teammate after racing for Williams for the first 3 seasons of his F1 career. The 25-year-old start wasn't ideal to say the least, with the zero-pod W13 woefully trailing the field, although he was able to wrestle the car to his first racing victory at the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. It's fair to say that it wasn't the season he had hoped for. This year isn't looking any better, with Mercedes W14 trailing the dominant Red Bulls. But according to Russell, his reputation was probably saved by Hamilton not leaving the sport, as he had been rumoured to do, because doing so would have resulted in people blaming Russell for Mercedes' struggles. For me, being teammates with Lewis is such a golden opportunity, he said, especially now that the car isn't performing as we want. Having him as my teammate has saved me in some regard, because if he had retired or left the sport when I joined the team and we took this step backwards, people would be pointing the blame towards me. But I feel like now I've proven my worth and I've proven what I'm capable of, so there's no pressure in that regard. I'm out there to do the best job possible, and I think this is a very fortunate position to be in. Last season, Russell joined Jenson Button and Nico Rosberg as the only teammates in Hamilton's F1 career to defeat the 7-time world champion in the standings. This has given Russell the well-deserved perception that he is one of the best drivers on the current F1 grid, and had Hamilton not stayed with the team, things could have turned out very differently. For the time being, however, Russell and Hamilton's sole focus will be on getting the team back into the race as soon as possible. After all, Mercedes aren't a team that's used to losing. So, what are your thoughts? Can Mercedes make a stronger comeback this time? What about Hamilton's frustrations with the seating position? Is he concentrating on the wrong issues? We'd love to hear from you in the comment section below. And if you're looking for more F1 news, check out our video on the FIA dealing a major blow to Ferrari and some of the other concerning scenes at Maranello. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to click the bell button to be notified of future videos.